Make sure those who have their phones off. Hey, Stan, do you have your phone turned off? Yes. Okay. Just making sure we're not going to be hearing any gobbles.
At this time, we'd like to have public comment, but please, everybody silence your phone.
Ready?
Yep.
All right, for public comment, we'll ask those who are giving testimony to come to the podium. You'll have 5 minutes to deliver your comments to the board. At 4 minutes, a white light will appear, and then at 5 minutes, a red light will appear. First, we have Abby Shireman.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Abby Shireman, and I am with the Pennsylvania National Wild Turkey Federation. Pennsylvania State Chapter National Wild Turkey Federation, known as the PA NWTF, thanks the Board of Commissioners, Game Commission Administration, and staff for this opportunity to speak with you today. PA NWTF would like to address 3 topics: the age restrictions placed on mentored youths, legislation giving the Pennsylvania Game Commission authority to regulate hunting on Sundays, and the scientific management of all wildlife species in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania became a national leader by passing one of the very first opportunities in the nation for mentored youth to experience hunting. That was followed by opening opportunities for adults to become mentored, and finally filling the gap for 12 to 16-year-olds to be included in the mentored hunting programs. Pennsylvanians were proud to lead the nation in offering these important opportunities to recruit and retain hunters of all ages. Unfortunately, age restrictions were later added to the state's mentoring hunting program that did not give full access to hunters under the age of 7. PA-NWTF strongly encourages the Board of Commissioners to revisit this important opportunity for our state's youngest hunters. As an organization, we strongly encourage our members to mentor new hunters of all ages, including those younger than 7 years old. Our volunteers frequently mentor multiple young hunters each spring and fall, and often find it difficult to provide tags for these young hunters. We often hear from NWTF members willing to give up a tag to allow a young person an opportunity to start a lifetime in the sport that we all love. And too often, these members mentor more than one youth each fall and spring, and mentors struggle to have tags available for the multiple young hunters. PA-NWTF continues encouraging our members to mentor boys and girls, men and women, each year. For that reason, we strongly encourage the Board of Commissioners to re-examine the mentored youth program and remove age restrictions. PA-NWTF strongly supports Senate Bill 67, removing the antiquated blue laws that restrict the Game Commission's ability to regulate hunting on Sundays throughout the year. We feel that the Game Commission has shown exceptional responsibility in providing scientifically managed seasons, bag limits, and opportunities for hunters, and they will continue to show the same thorough and effective plans when implementing Sunday hunting. And finally, PA-NWTF encourages the Pennsylvania Game Commission, through the Board of Commissioners, to continue to use sound scientific management for all species in the Keystone State, including the wild turkey. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today on behalf of our more than 14,000 members. Thank you.
Next up is Brian Patel.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning. My name is Brian Patel. I'm the current president for the Pittsburgh chapter of Safari Club International. As an organization, our mission is to protect the freedom to hunt and promote conservation worldwide. Sunday hunting for us is not about Sundays. It's not about any day. It's about making sure that the authority to manage wildlife is in the hands of individuals and organizations that are tasked for that responsibility. Managing wildlife can be complicated, it's complex, and it deserves an organization like the Game Commission that has the body of knowledge, and I would argue the appropriate motivations to manage that wildlife. It should not be subject to the whims of public opinion, and it should never be utilized as a political bargaining chip. When wildlife is left to political opinion that influences policy, we've seen that it often results in undesirable and unintended consequences, whether that's the management of cats in California, wolves in Yellowstone, bears in New Jersey. And if we want to speak to deer specifically, we can look to how public opinion has dominated policymaking in England and Scotland, where they are at a near crisis level in their inability to effectively manage their deer herd. We would stand against anyone that would actively and knowingly completely disregard science in a position to advance an agenda or to gain political power. Safari Club is comprised of over 150 chapters in over 115 countries. This gives us a very unique perspective on wildlife management through the paradigm of multiple countries and cultures. And for this reason and others, we would like to see the Commission utilize us as an opportunity to partner on issues that protect the freedom to hunt and advance conservation here in the state of Pennsylvania. Here in Pennsylvania, we have 7 chapters, which speaks to our history and heritage and commitment to the sporting lifestyle. These chapters are managed differently, but collectively we raise hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for R3 initiatives, education, humanitarian outreach, and conservation projects. The chapters have the ability to deploy these funds within their footprint at the state level, at the national level, and even internationally. And again, I think that this is an opportunity for Safari Club to partner with the Game Commission on mutually shared goals. As far as Senate Bill 67 goes, we certainly stand behind that as we see it as the clearest way forward. And speaking of forward, we look forward to the consolidation and simplification of the deer tag management process, and hopefully the implementation of technology that increases the efficiency and effectiveness of recording harvests to more effectively manage our deer herd. And then finally, I would say that, you know, given our resources, our unique perspective, our intellectual capital, and shared motivations, it would be our hope that the Commission would see us as a resource to potentially partner with to advance the freedom to hunt and promote conservation here in the state of Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Mark Widener.
Good morning, everyone. A couple brief things. Again, I know you're probably tired of hearing this, but I'm here supporting multiple groups, mostly from Northampton County, Monroe, and the Southeast Division, who still would like to see the Monday opener. And I know that you've all heard that many times, but I still have a bunch of groups that would like to see the Monday opener. A year ago, I was out here asked about a survey for Wildlife Management Unit 5C on opening up bobcat and fisher harvesting. I was wondering if there was any results on that study or what's going on. I know I get hit from our trappers on where we stand with that. So if I could get any statistics from any of your biologists, I would appreciate that. I know you probably don't have that now, but I would like to hear that. Also, on our game lands, about different habitat for maintaining small game and pheasants. I know when I spoke last time about that, I think small game hunting enhances it for our youth. In Northampton County, we're all about youth events. I know when I spoke to Bill Carr, with different types of grasses are being planted. I think maybe we could look at that. I know Bill changed positions, so I don't know who's doing in Northampton County and Lehigh County now, but I'm sure I could find out. Just want to put that in front of the board about looking at different habitat on the game lands for maintaining for pheasants and wildlife. The other thing, I know every year the bills get pushed off as far as getting it back into the Game Commission's hands as far as license fees and salary fees. So I want to know whatever we can do as sportsmen to push those bills to get through, because when we build a rapport with the wardens, it's sad for me to see them go to different agencies and that are going there because of the salaries. And it really irks me. And in Northampton County, I feel blessed because we have a good rapport with our wardens, and they come out to, I would say, 80% of our federation meetings. And when we finally get a rapport, and then we lose them to different agencies. So whatever we need to do or how we can support that, we're here to help the Game Commission achieve that. Later this month, we have a meeting with Senator Boscola. So whatever I need to push her way to get something going, I'd be more than glad to do that. And that also goes with the license fees. I know it's probably been 20-some years that we had a license fee change. I know personally, I grew up hunting pheasants when pheasant hunting and bucks in Northampton County were good. It kind of just irks me that I pay more for a pheasant permit than I do for my license. To me, it's kind of backwards. And I know we need funding to support the pheasant farms, but it just seems a little backwards. And that, I know that's not in the Game Commission's hands, which I think it should be. So whatever we need to do as a group to help support the Game Commission to get that going, I'd like to hear on that. And also, I put in front of each one of the commissioners, and for anybody in the public that would want one, Northampton County does a youth conservation school every year. I find this hard to believe. All three of my children went through this. And believe it or not, we have a hard time filling 35 slots. It's a week-long school. It's now been developed with our fundraising through the White-tailed Deer Classic and through some endowment funds. It's free of charge. So if anybody in this room or at your clubs or any of the commissioners at your clubs has an individual between the age of 13 to 19, or I mean 13 to 17, it's a week-long school. It's fully funded. So if anybody has it, the information's there. Just go to ncjcs.org. And I have more of these sheets over there, and all the commissioners have them. In Northampton County, we also run the Youth Field Day. We take 200 children. Currently, right now, we have 108 kids signed up, so there's more room there. And again, I just want to acknowledge our wardens in Northampton County that they're doing a great job. So if there's anything that we can do to support to get them salaries, I'd hate to lose them. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
John Furness.
Good morning, Commissioners, Executive Director Smith, PGC staff, and all in attendance this morning. My name is Jonathan Furness. I'm the Board Secretary for the Pennsylvania Federation of Sportsmen and Conservationists. Our Director of Government Affairs, Mike Kreiner, who usually speaks on behalf of PFSC, was not able to attend today due to some family obligations. I want to start by saying thank you. Recently, on March 22nd, Executive Director Smith attended our spring conference to give our members and delegates an update on agency issues pertaining to sportsmen and sportswomen. He fielded a lot of questions and answered them openly and honestly. Our members greatly appreciate the dialogue and communication. Topics ranged from opening day of rifle deer season to ag tag program extension to help farmers with crop damage, the changes to elk tag allocation process, and a proposed mentor youth trapping permit for mentees to get tags for bobcat, fisher, and otter. The Pennsylvania Trappers Association, one of our partner organizations, proposed the change to allow mentees to be able to trap bobcat, otter, and fisher. Unfortunately, we found out it's not something that can be done solely through regulation and needs a legislative fix. The Trappers Association, with support from the PFSC and communication with the PGC staff, will be working on moving forward with seeking legislation to allow this change. Getting our youth involved as early and often as possible gives us the best chance to recruit and retain them for the future. Another area of note is the growing relationship between farmers, hunters, and the PGC. Getting all the stakeholders talking, communicating, and working on solutions together is a huge accomplishment. Not only for now and the program changes that will be voted on today, like the expanded ag tag program and keeping the Saturday opener, but the issues like lifting the prohibition on Sunday hunting. We certainly aren't going to agree on each and every issue, but there are many we can agree on and work together for the best interests of our wildlife and outdoor heritage. Without the communications and relationships that have been built over the last couple of years, we wouldn't be as close to getting Sunday hunting as we are. Senate Bill 67 by Senator Dan Laughlin has been introduced in the Senate, and House Bill 851 has been introduced in the House by Representative Mandy Steele. We're hopeful one or both of these bills will start moving forward in the legislative process in the next few weeks or months. In closing, I'd like to add that PFSC is growing, adding member clubs and individual members over the past 6 months or so. Thanks to our officers and support for spreading the message and mission of the PFSC. All of our board members have been putting on miles and time to spread the word. To anyone in attendance or listening, please consider getting involved in an organization that represents your interests. Whether it be an advocacy organization like the PFSC or another special interest organization, hunting and trapping. We must all stand together for the future of our sport and outdoor heritage. The more like-minded folks that speak up and get involved, the better. Thank you, commissioners, agency leadership, and staff for your time and commitment to providing opportunities for sportsmen and women through sound scientific management of our abundant renewable wildlife resources.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Next is John Helm.
Morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name's John Helm. I was here last year and asked for your help to have the Game Commission do stormwater control on Game Lands 108 to prevent soil erosion. Last year, this water carried leaves and sediment, blocked the pipe under my driveway into my property, causing damage. There's a copy of the bill to do repairs in the packet. I invite you to call me if you have any questions. I can provide details. If the board only talks to Game Commission management, I believe management minimizes this situation and provides minimum detail. 8 people came in May to view the situation on my property last year, and I was encouraged that some control might happen. I spoke with Mr. Austin Kiefer about a week later and was again encouraged. I followed up in June and July with a phone call and left a voicemail to Mr. Kiefer. There was no response. Mr. Kiefer answered the call in August, and we had a conversation, and again I was encouraged so that all that happened, I was encouraged. So all that happened was when they were there, is they paid lip service to the questionnaire. About 2 weeks later, I received a letter from Austin Kiefer telling me that they're not going to do any work to fix the problem. I provided a copy of this letter in your packet. Mr. Kiefer says they were going to manage the land for wildlife. I was surprised to learn that extreme soil erosion was a management plan. Another excuse is that they inherited the situation. With that thinking, if Mr. Kiefer's father willed his home to his son and the roof leaked, Mr. Kiefer would not fix it because he inherited it. The remaining portion of the letters lists excuses not to do any work or use royalty funds to remedy the situation. All his excuses are irrelevant. The cost would be substantial, but the right thing to do. Even doing the right thing would hardly dent the $5 million, $100 million in royalties that they have in the game coffers. What is relevant to the situation is the stormwater coming off the top of the mountain and forging downhill. The volume and speed of the water is causing the erosion. At the lower end of my property is Powell Run, where a large portion of the stormwater flows directly into the stream. Powell Run empties into the Clearfield Creek, and the Clearfield Creek empties into the west branch of the Susquehanna River, and of course, on its way to the Chesapeake Bay, carrying sediment with it. The Game Commission purposed the Game Land 108 in 1984, and so you're aware, it's a reclaimed strip mine. As noted by Mr. Kiefer, my property was purchased in 2000. The stormwater issue started in 2006. There are 4 different locations where water enters my property from the game lands. For 12 years, there was no issue. No one can predict weather conditions into the future. For 19 years, I've been asking the Game Commission to do something to slow the water down to prevent erosion. Over the past 19 years, tons of soil have eroded off the game lands and my property. The depth of erosion is so severe, I'm not able to get a pickup truck to the west side of my property any longer. A previous excuse was they do not have funds budgeted. That's no longer a viable excuse when the Game Commission has over $500 million in royalties. The Game Commission is responsible for this, not DEP or mine reclamation. They need to take responsibility to stop this erosion and protect the Chesapeake Bay. Last year, I mentioned the Commission had over $500 million in royalties. The first priority for the fund should be the wise use to stop sediment from entering our streams and river, whether it's Game Lands 108 or other game lands. Game Commission needs to be a partner to end polluting Chesapeake Bay under circumstances. My request is that the Game Commission revisit this issue that I'm presenting here. If water from my land forged the gully onto Game Commission land, I'm sure that you would be after me to correct the situation. Therefore, please stop putting me off and face the dilemma. My next step is to remedy this, is not to stand before the Commission Board. And I received this on Thursday, and there's an article in here about the representatives questioning the Game Commission on what these royalties are being spent on. The executive director said they killed a landowner, private landowner management plan, but they're going to build shooting ranges. What shooting ranges are no benefit to wildlife. This money could be better spent on somewhere else, like research or habitat improvement somewhere else, or even erosion control. Thank you.
Mitchell, Couric.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here again. So my name is Mitchell Couric. I'm with the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau. I cover our state affairs. So as I mentioned last time I was here, a little recap. Pennsylvania Farm Bureau is a grassroots organization representing over 20,000 members, or 27,000 members across the Commonwealth. Our members are farmers of all sizes, and every policy we advocate for is developed through a bottom-up, member-led process. So when I speak to you today, I'm sharing the real concerns and priorities of farmers from every region of our state. First, I would like to thank the board and the broader Game Commission. During the first 2 weeks of March, I had the privilege of traveling across the state, hitting every corner, and hitting every corner to provide updates from Harrisburg. At each of the 8 meetings I attended, the Game Commission was represented either by a commissioner or warden. Your willingness to show up, answer questions, and listen means a great deal to our members, and we deeply value your partnership. One of the most consistent and urgent concerns raised at every meeting was the growing impact of wildlife, particularly deer, on crop production. This isn't just a nuisance issue, it's a serious economic and operational challenge for farms across the state. That's why our relationship with the Game Commission is so important and why we bring a few recommendations today that we believe are thoughtful, practical, and grounded in firsthand experience. First, we ask the Game Commission to consider creating greater uniformity across crop damage mitigation programs by consolidating DMAP, ag tag depredation, and related efforts into a single streamlined system. Farmers often struggle to navigate the different rules and processes for each program, and we believe a unified approach would increase clarity and participation. Second, we offer a few specific suggestions to improve the DMAP program. First, remove the cap on the number of antlerless tags that a hunter can fill when hunting under a DMAP permit. Allow farmers to allocate DMAP tags without requiring hunters to formally transfer tags into their name, and price DMAP tags at the same rate as general antlerless tags to remove financial barriers to participation. Third, we encourage the Commission to consider updating its proposed ag tag program firearm restrictions. Farmers would benefit from allowing ag tag users to use standard firearms throughout the allowable ag tag timeframe rather than limiting them to archery, muzzleloader, or flintlock use during concurrent seasons. This flexibility would increase the program's effectiveness without compromising safety or broader hunting ethics. Fourth, we see real opportunity in leveraging technology, specifically adding QR codes to hunting tags and extending that capability to butchers and processors. This would improve tracking, simplify data collection, and support more targeted wildlife management, especially in areas of high crop damage. We suggest the Game Commission study the feasibility of using baiting as a farmer-only tool, specifically for addressing localized crop damage during the summer months. We believe the study could help determine if such a strategy could be effective without interfering with the broader goals of the hunting community and wildlife conservation. As I mentioned, each of these recommendations comes directly from our farmers and reflects their desire to work with, not against, the Commission to find workable solutions. We thank you for your continued partnership, and we look forward to for the ongoing collaboration. Thank you very much. I would have copies. I forgot my binder. That's why I was reading off my phone, so I apologize about that. But I could get you guys copies of this speech. Thank you.
Great, thank you. At this time, we're going to take a short break, 10-minute break, and then we'll start with our business part of the meeting. I'd like to bring this April 12th, 2025 Game Commission meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Secretary, would you please call roll call?
Stanley Kinnick,
Here.
Haley Sankey,
Here.
Alan DeMarco, here. Scott Foradora,
Here.
Dennis Richards, Dennis Fredericks.
Richards isn't here, but Fredericks is.
I know he's my neighbor. Kristen Koppenhaver, here. Michael Mitrick,
Here.
Todd Pride,
Here and present.
Robert Schwalem, a.k.a. Proud New Papa.
Here.
Congratulations, Bob.
Thank you all so much.
We have a motion to approve the minutes of the commission meeting held on January 25th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Secretary, will you call a vote, please?
Stanley Kinnick,
Here.
Haley Sankey,
Or, yes.
We're voting for
Yes.
minutes.
Can you do it all
Yeah,
at
okay.
once? We don't have to have a roll call vote,
okay?
right? Just do it all at once. Yes.
Do what?
Roll call.
The roll call.
No, not a roll call vote.
Approve the minutes.
Minutes, yes.
All those in favor?
All those in favor.
That has to
yeah.
come from you, I believe, as the president for that. I can do it.
Yeah. No, it's all in favor.
Okay, okay.
Mr. Secretary.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
The first item for consideration can be found on page 2 of your agendas and comes from the Bureau of Wildlife Management. To effectively manage the wildlife resources of this Commonwealth, the Commission, at its January 25th, 2025 meeting, amended Section 139.4 to provide updated seasons and bag limits for the 2025-2026 license year. The 2025-2026 seasons and bag limits were amended to reflect current available scientific data, population and harvest records, field survey and professional staff observations, as well as recommendations received from staff, organized sporting groups, members of the agricultural community, and others interested in the management of the wildlife resources of this Commonwealth. This amendment is now before the Commission for final adoption.
Okay, thank you. We will go page by page, and then we'll have a vote at the end. Page 3, do we have any amendments? Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9.
Mr. President, if I may, I'd like to offer a floor amendment for board consideration on page 9 to add a deer extended regular firearms antlerless only season that will mirror the extended firearms season in our current special regs areas. Important to note that the intention here is for this season to be open for DMAP properties only, and the hunter must be in possession of a DMAP harvest coupon to be eligible to hunt that property.
Do I have a motion? Second? Mr. Secretary, Any discussion on it?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I certainly understand the deer issues that we have, but to extend or offer any further opportunity statewide is, I think we're a little ahead of the course on that, premature. We had our deer biologist testify yesterday that the kill is going up, and I'm summarizing, so, and that regeneration is fair. I think his word was fair. Is that fair or good in most areas? Doe kill is going up. We're on the precipice, hopefully, of getting Sunday hunting, which, counting the special regs areas, is going to add 12 additional full days for all implements in deer season. And so just want to add that that I think we're getting the cart ahead of the horse. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My comments.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussions or comments?
Actually, I'd like to call on biologist. Is there a biologist's recommendation, Dr. Snoop, for doing this?
Well, you know, I think a little bit of background here would be helpful. So we've heard a lot today about DMAP program, Deer Management Assistance Program. What that is a landowner tool that we implemented. And so in that same time, we've also seen an increase in allocations, right? I mean, 2022, we broke 1 million allocations, and now we're up to 1.3 million. And so, you know, the deer program and the allocation process is more of a battleship, right? It's more of a slow-moving thing. And so there's ways to make that slow-moving thing move in a direction. Typically, that takes a little time. It takes evaluation of staff. And I think that, you know, we're proposing this upcoming year to evaluate the deer program as a whole. I think, you know, we could certainly include some of the DMAP evaluation, what works, what doesn't work. The program was evaluated or the program was initiated at a different time when allocations weren't as high. So now allocations are high, statewide tags are a recommendation exceed 1.3 million. Is it time to evaluate some of this? And certainly we could take that as a staff recommendation to look into that. And we would be happy to do that as you guys well know.
Dr. Snoop, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Are we happy with the current harvest reports from the DMAP regs?
Are we happy with? I would say more with a 1.3 million allocation, we're in a period of unknown, I think. With what those last year we saw the 1.1 million allocations effectively used. We saw harvest go up where we wanted harvest to go up. So our hunters are still succeeding and still doing what we're asking them to do, which is harvest more antlerless deer. We've increased it again this year. And so I think we're in a period of unknown of what that could have an impact on the use of landowner management tools like DMAP. And so I think that, again, through an evaluation of that program, I could probably give you a better answer this time next year.
Mr. Chairman, I'm supportive of what you're saying, and also Commissioner Koppenhaver's question or amendment of trying to address the deer issues. But the unknown in your calculations is, what does the 12 days of Sunday do? What does the ag tag program, which we've heard for years the agricultural community needs? I mean, we're essentially blowing that out. So I'm supportive of further research on it. So I just want to be clear on that. Thank you.
Understood.
I think it's important to kind of note that DMAP has a very similar intent that AgTag has, right? Where we look to Dr. Schnoop and his shop to provide recommendations on a management unit basis, which is exactly what they're doing. And where we're hearing from our agricultural community that they're, you know, being in some cases hammered by deer from a crop depredation standpoint. And we've responded to them, right, with these proposed changes to AgTag. And we're hearing, and by we, maybe that's not across the board. I certainly am hearing loud and clear through my forestry community in my district that they're experiencing a lot of the same issues that our farmers are experiencing. It just has to do with trees and not crops. And trees are crops. They just take a lot longer to grow than corn and soybeans. So knowing that we're really taking a deep dive into how we're evaluating our antlerless allocations, I think that's fantastic. I do. I'm looking forward to seeing the results of that. And I think in the interim, my proposal to put forth this DMAP season extension across the state, again, on DMAP properties only and only utilizing DMAP tags, not dipping into regular allocations of the management unit level. I think that's a step in the right direction to, tell our forestry community, hey, we're hearing you in the same capacity that we're hearing our agricultural community, and knowing that this is a tool for them to use on a much smaller level than the WMU level. That's the intent of this program, and to that end, I would absolutely welcome and encourage our staff to bring these DMAP stakeholders to the table in the process and discuss what works and what doesn't. And ultimately, if this passes today, that should be a consideration on the table of, is this the right move, or do we need to tweak it as well? I'm not saying that this is the golden nugget, but to be able to give our forestry folks a little bit of breathing room as we maneuver and make a better end result to a bigger picture issue, I think is a step in the right direction. And as a commissioner, having to balance the social, the science, the 15 different opinions from 5 different guys, it's kind of where I landed and what I'd like to offer for consideration.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion?
Yeah, Mr. President, if I may. First of all, I'd like to say that I very much appreciate Commissioner Koppenhaver's intent to try to do the right thing. And obviously, she lives in an area of the state that's more conducive to silviculture, forestry practice than agricultural farming. But the first thing that I'd like to bring to all the commissioners' attention is that when former Commissioner Forodoro when he was president, we worked with the new executive office, Steve Smith, to reactivate, if you will, the committee process, and we tried to keep it simple. But we did have a wildlife management committee. We had several discussions as a committee, and the intent was to boil down all the issues that each and every individual commissioner had as an idea to do the right thing. And we boiled that down to a few items that made the agenda for a public meeting that was held prior to last January's meeting. And this issue was vetted by that committee, and it didn't make it out of committee. And we explained clearly that just because it didn't make it out of committee didn't mean it was a dead issue. Certainly could be discussed and brought up again. So with that said, that's number one. Okay, it didn't make it through the committee process, this issue, or at least something very similar. We heard from our constituents today, the Safari Club, talking about simplification of the DMAP program. The Pennsylvania Federation of Sportsmen's Club encouraged us to stick to the science. Pennsylvania Farm Bureau testified to simplify the DMAP program and stick to the science. And as far as, helping the agricultural community, whether it's forestry or vegetable producers, I can't imagine us taking a bigger step than what we've done in blowing open the ag tag program. And I want everybody to understand that not only did staff work very hard to come up with a method and a program to open the ag tag program time-wise, but there was a lot of effort that went into the procedural and paperwork, for that program. Is dramatically going to be simplified for the farmers, the foresters, our wildlife conservation officers. So it's a huge step, and again, as much as I appreciate the effort, this morning I was handed a document that says, from 2022 to 2024, the efficiency of our DMAP coupon redemption, 2022 is 74%, and then in 24 it went down to 60. So I have to ask myself why. And I would like the opportunity to ask the staff why, and I don't expect them to give me an answer right away. I mean, I've learned in my tenure that as much as you'd like to make things happen quickly, it just doesn't work that way. And we all proclaim to hang our hat on science, and that's what our full intention is. And I think that the science was presented to us extremely well. As a matter of fact, I'll go so far as to say that the science that was presented to us was impeccable. And I'll refer you back to the document that our deer biologist, David, gave us yesterday. And frankly, across the state, when professional foresters evaluate, all of our areas for regeneration, basically across the state, they came up with acceptable, at this point, regeneration. Is it perfect? No. I think the number thrown out was like 75%, but that is acceptable. So you got professional foresters from our organization, state foresters and foresters from the federal government, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Forestry Division, and they're telling us that regen is okay. So with that dissertation off my shoulders, I have to say that I'm going to vote no on the proposal. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussion?
I have just a question regarding, and maybe Krista, this is a question to you regarding what you're proposing, and Matt, regarding your comment regarding the unknown. And Denny, to your point, so if we're increasing opportunities relative to our DMAP properties, be it public and private, so if I'm correct in understanding, we have a somewhat declining number of hunters. Am I correct?
That's my understanding.
So if we have a declining number of hunters and we're increasing these opportunities, what are we expecting them to, with a declining number of hunters, and we're providing, more time, our age is going up in terms of hunters, what are we expecting to happen by providing, increasing the allocations? Where is that? The science and the staff has done a great job, but, and kind of what I'm pointing to is how we get the message out. And I brought this, point up earlier, and again, I'm down in the Southeast region. We don't have a lot of people down there in the Southeast. We don't have a lot of hunters. The DMAP information is not easily accessible, specifically with our DCNR properties. So I think we need to do, and I think providing more opportunity, more time is good, but I think we need to do a little bit more in terms of getting this message out. Because if we're speaking to our existing base of hunters and that number is declining, I don't know what we're expecting to have to happen in terms of, our harvest numbers are up, and I think if I'm correct, our harvest numbers were up largely, I think, in terms of in our CWD areas and providing just more time and so forth in those areas where we need, but I think we need to do a little bit more in terms of marketing, getting the message out if we're going to be extending times and providing more opportunities. And also just looking at how we're communicating this information, because I had a number of reach outs from hunters from this season, hunters that were part of deer management groups that didn't know that DMAP was available, particularly in DCNR state parks. So I think we need to do, while we're increasing the allocations and potentially extending the time, is to do a better job and do a little bit more in terms of getting the message out that we're providing more time and more opportunities to hunt.
Sure. If I could, I do think that last year showed us that Pennsylvania is still privileged of having hunters that step up to the plate. We saw that last year. In a couple of the WMUs, we did have to say, okay, allocations is the first step. Now, next step is you need more time. We did that in some of the CWD areas. And so I do think we are blessed in Pennsylvania to still have those hunters be able to step up to the plate and still get that harvest done, which I don't think any of us would argue is a wonderful thing. And then, of course, yes, we can always talk more about opportunities and so on, and our marketing and I&E bureaus have done a lot of that as well. So I think we're hitting on both of those, but obviously we can do more.
I'd like to piggyback on that and just say it's kind of a pain to navigate the website to get to
Absolutely.
understand.
It's not, yeah, it's very
So
difficult.
if we could work on that as well, it would help, I believe, in getting these off the ground. Secondarily, I'd like to say that we did receive a letter from the Department of Ag asking for help with their forest management in the Allegheny National Forest in particular. And this is not the first time we've heard from this group or other forestry groups. And in fact, as I sit here, I'm looking at 4 letters from forestry groups that have come in recently asking for help in the north central and northwest part of the state. So this is not a new issue. This is not something that we haven't heard about before. And much like our farmers, this industry is suffering, and I'd like to see us try to do something to help them.
Mr. President, if I may, I appreciate Commissioner Sankey's comments, and yes, I too would like to be reactionary, but I don't want to be reactionary on the turn of a dime. Again, these things take time. I think we need to acknowledge to the forestry community that we hear them loud and clear, and at the expense of lifting the curtain too soon, I might get in trouble, I don't know, but I know that our staff's working diligently to develop a program where we go electronic and pretty much overhaul our deer management program, which if any of you were here yesterday and heard David talk about, we manage our deer herd on trends, anywhere, 3 to 6 year trends. And I think that our scientists are some of the best in the country, and I'd like to give them the opportunity to review that whole thing and see what we can do to be able to be scientific, but at the same time be more reactionary to the harvest. And let the forestry community know that, yeah, we've heard them, but there is a process on our end, and foresters are scientists too. They are professionals at managing a renewable resource just like we are. So they should understand that all we need to do is tell them, we've heard you, we get it, let us take a look at it, and let it go through the proper system, and let our scientists figure out what to do with the conflict between our wildlife and their renewable resource, which is merchantable timber.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Fredericks. Any other comments? Mr. Secretary, can I have a roll call vote?
Those in favor?
We have a roll call.
Oh, do you want a roll call? I'm sorry, I was daydreaming, I guess. Mr. Knick?
At this time, I've listened to everybody, and I agree with both sides, but I do think we need to do something. So I am going to vote yes at this time.
Mrs. Sankey?
I'm in favor.
Alan DeMarco? I'm in favor. Mr. Fedora?
No vote.
Mr. Fredericks?
No.
Mrs. Copenhaver?
Yes.
Mr. Mittrick?
Yes.
Mr. Pride?
Yes.
And Mr. Swallam?
Mr. Swallow?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. President, there are 7 yes votes and 2 no votes.
The amendment has passed. Any more amendments on page 9? I do have an amendment on page 9.
Page 10.
deer extended regular firearms season Antlerless, January 2nd, 2026 to January 19th, 2026. Right now, they are WMUs 4A, 4D, and 5A. I want to add 4C in there. We have found CWD down there, and I would like to try to get a handle on this and knock the prevalence down before it goes too far. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Secretary, we have a vote?
Discussion?
Don't you have a question?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Any
Yes.
discussion?
Yes. I just want to ask biology. That wasn't in any biological recommendation yesterday, and just
Yes,
your
that's
opinion
correct. That
on
was outside of the allocation recommendation, but of course, as you guys well know, commissioners have the opportunity to come in and modify it.
Yeah, I mean, but this science, why wasn't it in your recommendation?
That recommendation for 4C was, as you recall, to the allocation that we set. We felt was comfortable to meet the objective of that. As Commissioner stated, there is CWD in that area, and so a more aggressive opinion of the commissioner
Right.
certainly supersedes the allocation recommendation.
And how many detections have we had there?
There was one in that area. Yeah.
And how many?
I'm sorry.
We had two.
I'm sorry. Yes, you're correct. Too.
Okay, and how many counties does that encompass, or land area?
I'm not sure I know that offhand.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'd
Stan,
have
do
to
you,
get- I'll get
Stan,
back to
Commissioner
you on that.
Knicks, do you know how big area that is?
The area.
Counties?
It involves, it's 4C, it involves, I think, part of Luzerne, Columbia. It's a decent sized area. It's not real big, but it's a decent sized area.
Yeah.
So.
Correct.
I mean, I agree with everything you said. So we're opening up the whole area, and you had said in past commission meetings, the science is 1 or 2 square miles to control CWD.
Yep. So typically, though, we've gone from 10 miles out,
10
and so
miles.
this year we did recommend a 20-mile radius
Okay.
from a positive. So it does fall within that 10-mile boundary that we've since extended to 20 at this point for surrounding WMU.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I again want to express my reluctance into making any kind of a move without a recommendation from our scientists. Again, I very much appreciate each and every commissioner wanting to get things done and sensing the urgency, because each one of us hears from our people locally where our districts are located, and we all have a passion to be helpful and do the right thing. But again, this is something that did not go through the Wildlife Management Committee. As chairman, I can say that. And as always, I'm reluctant to make any kind of a move that's not recommended by our scientists. Although I will qualify that with saying that, you know, that statement doesn't mean never. But in this case, I just don't see the need to do this without the scientists being on board with it.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Any other comments? Mr. Secretary, we have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Knick?
Yes.
Mrs. Sankey?
No.
Mr. DeMarco? Yes. Mr. Fedora?
No.
Mr. Fredericks?
No.
Mrs. Copenhaver?
Yes.
Mr. Mitrick?
No.
Mr. Pride?
Yes.
And Mr. Schwalm?
Mr. Schwalm? Bob, are you there?
Yes.
Does he say he's there? Yes?
Yes,
Or
yes.
His answer is
Are you
yes.
voting yes? What is your vote, Bob?
Yes.
All right.
So it's 5. Mr. President, there are 5 yeses and 4 noes.
All right, the amendment passes. Is there any other amendments on page 9? With none being heard, we'll move to page 10. Do you have any amendments on page 10?
I have an amendment I'd like to propose. Beginning in 2019, the board began implementing extended not beer seasons. Bear seasons due to an increased bear population and the number of increasing bear and human conflicts. As we heard yesterday, we're seeing a decrease in those conflicts and complaints. And so I would like to recommend that we amend the bear archery season, which was initially proposed for 18 WMUs to begin on October 18th and go through November 8th, and instead have the seasons end on October 25th. This is, again, a reflection of what we heard yesterday and the recommendation we received yesterday from the bear biologist.
Could you, Haley, I'm sorry, could you repeat the dates?
Sure.
I couldn't hear the dates.
Yeah, so start on October 18th and end on October 20th for bear archery in the 18 WMUs listed there.
Do we have a motion?
Mr. President, for the purposes of discussion, I'll second that.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, Commissioner Knicks. So I'm fully supportive of this, and just to give a little context of it, I was on the commission board when we expanded it, and you know, we increased opportunity tremendously, which elated the hunting community. So the report from the bear biologist yesterday, the program did work. The conflicts or the amount of phone calls has basically almost disappeared, according to what I've heard yesterday. So now I'm going to vote to reduce hunting opportunity. And the hunters will not like that, but the science supported it. So on this vote, I'm going to vote yes because the science supported it. Thank you.
We have any more discussion?
I think I misspoke, sorry. So the first day would be October 18th. The end day would be October 25th.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I'd like to call Mr. Snoop to the stand.
Sure. Thanks, Commissioner. Appreciate that. How come none of you guys ever want to talk about squirrel season?
The science does support this, right?
So where we're at with the bear program is we've made a lot of changes, certainly over the last couple of years, good changes. And this is a bit of a reset, you know, going back and taking those 2 weeks off. And then we're going to evaluate it again through the next year. Pretty intensively, the bear program is going to get a pretty deep dive look through. And so this recommendation did come through from staff and is supported by, and I think it's going to put us back into a position of saying, okay, what do we need to add to if needed? And so I think those goals and objectives that you guys will be excited to see some of those change, and there's some modifications to the current bear program over the next year. So we're excited to present some of that along with the CWD and the deer program as well.
Okay, thank you, Matthew.
To echo Dr. Schnoop's comments from earlier, we are absolutely blessed in this state to have hunters that, you know, we expanded opportunity, they answered the call, and here we are. It's a double-edged sword, right? Taking opportunity away because we achieved our wildlife management goal. So I guess we pat ourselves on the back for a job well done, you know, as hunters. So especially at a point in time where bear management and bear hunting is under public scrutiny, and there are states that don't have the ability to make these fluctuations the way we're doing here in Pennsylvania today. So, you know, it's a proud day to be a hunter in Pennsylvania, even though we're taking a little bit of opportunity off the table.
Thank you, Kristen. Any other comments?
Yeah, Mr. President, before we take a vote, just as a matter of interest, Mark Turnett, Regional Director Turnett, you were the bear biologist at the time that we expanded that archery opportunity. If I'm not mistaken, and pardon my inability to articulate your biological science, I'm just a dumb forester. If I remember right, we did that to try to get to deal with those nuisance bears, the females, early. And that first year, didn't we have an unexpected high number of harvest of females in that first year? And then the second year, it dropped. But didn't we take a bunch of females that first year?
Yeah, so we certainly, as we move those seasons forward, you do see more
So the point I'm trying to make is the plan worked, right?
We definitely added additional length, which increased harvest of those sows for sure.
So the science worked.
Sure.
So the science worked.
Sure.
Okay,
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion or comments? None being heard. Mr. Secretary, would you have a roll call vote, please?
Those in favor of the proposed amendment, please signify by saying yes.
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 What's that? Oh, okay, I'm sorry, do you want a roll call?
No, that's right, go ahead. Keep going.
Keep going?
Yep.
Okay. Mrs. Sankey?
Yes.
Mr. DeMarco, yes. Mr. Forodoro?
Yes.
Mr. Fredericks?
Yes.
Mrs. Copenhaver?
Yes.
Mr. Mittrick?
Yes.
Mr. Pride?
Yes.
And Mr. Schwalm?
Mr. Schwal, Bob?
Yes.
All yeses.
All right, thank you, Mr. Secretary. Is there any more amendments on page 10? Page 11.
Mr. President, if I may, continue the discussion in our Seasons and Bags conversation. I'd like to offer an amendment to our elk special conservation tag season that is currently September 1 through November 8th. I would like to offer an amendment to back that first date for those two tags only, which is essentially the Kika tag and the RMEF tag, to open July 1 and run through November 8.
You have a motion?
A question before that. Commissioner Copenhaver, is that, for my ignorance on this, is that with the existing two conservation tags we have now?
Yes.
Yes.
Just, okay, thank you.
We have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call? Any
Any
discussion?
discussion?
Sorry, I keep forgetting.
Just to add some context to that, if I may, Mr. President. It's come to our attention as a board that we've had some large bulls that have been causing crop damage in some agricultural fields, and we've got farmers down there that are absolutely willing and able to partner with hunters to allow hunters the opportunity to take those, trophy class bulls at a time when the season is currently not open. So we have had instances in the past where we've had trophy bulls killed for crop damage, and the hunters are saying, hey, come help us out, hunters. And so the idea here is to adhere to that request and say, okay, let's take these two tags only that have had, to the best of my knowledge, a 100% success rate since they've been instituted, and allow them the opportunity to harvest those bulls. The understanding that this also puts two tags on the table in Pennsylvania for the opportunity to harvest Pennsylvania bull elk that could still be in velvet, which would be appealing to a lot of hunters as well. So that's the kind of the genesis of this amendment.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Matt, should the board approve this, I know Jeremy's not here, but do you foresee any negative impact to the wildlife resource?
Should the board?
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. Honestly, I view this as probably more of a policy standpoint. As long as they fall within the allocations of the biologically justified harvest quotas, then I view this more as a broader policy decision of when those tags are actually used.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Dr. Schnoop, do you have any idea how many bulls were killed for crop damage last year before the hunting season began?
I do not. I'm going to look at Jason for that. We can certainly get that to you. I'm sorry, I don't know that offhand.
No, that's fine. I know there was multiple. I just didn't know if you had a number or not. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other discussion? Mr. Secretary, when you call a roll call vote?
Those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
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 Roll call, you said, right?
It's all right.
Okay. I was going to go down. Any noes? Yeses have it then.
All right, thank you, Mr. Secretary. Any other amendments on page 11? With none being heard, we will move to page 12. Do you have any amendments on page 12? None being heard, we will move to page 13. Any amendments on page 13? None being heard. We will take a vote, Mr. Secretary. We have a motion for the whole package.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? None being heard. Mr. Secretary, will you call a vote, please?
Those in favor of the proposed amendments, please signify by saying yes.
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 Those opposed, no. The yeses have it.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
The next item for consideration can be found on page 14 of your agendas. To effectively manage the wildlife resources of this Commonwealth, the Commission, at its January 25th, 2025 meeting, amended Section 135.181 to authorize users of rifle and handgun ranges located on state game lands to discharge a firearm at a steel target placed and mounted by the Commission. This amendment is now before the Commission for final adoption.
We have a motion.
So move.
Second.
Second. Second.
So moved.
Discussion?
Yeah.
Mr. Secretary, would you call a vote, please?
Those in favor of the proposed motion here, please say yay.
Yay.
Those opposed, nay.
Nay.
The yeas have it. All of us have to pay attention.
All right. Next.
The next item for consideration can be found on page 16 of your agendas. Since the Mentored Hunting Program's inception in 2006, the program has incrementally grown to include more species of game and wildlife and to expand the age groups eligible to participate in the program. With each step in its evolution, the Mentored Hunting Program has become better aligned with the Commission's traditional hunting license structures. The Commission is now proposing to amend Section 147.804 to expand the Mentored Hunting Program to authorize its participants to acquire agricultural deer control harvest permits and snow goose conservation permits. Mentored youth and mentored adults are currently ineligible to participate in these programs.
You have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion being heard. Mr. Secretary, would you call a vote, please?
Those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. The yeses have it.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
The next item for consideration is found on page 17 of your agendas. The Commission is proposing to amend Section 147.762 to improve accessibility to and the effectiveness of the Agricultural Damage Depredation Permit Program. The first proposed change completely removes the 2-year public access enrollment requirement for all agricultural damage depredation permit applicants. Currently, only applicants from Wildlife Management Units 5C and 5D are exempt from this requirement. The second proposed change replaces the deed or lease production requirement with new language requiring that the applicant for the agricultural deer control permit only certify on their application that they are the owner or lessee of both the agricultural interest adversely affected by material damage caused by white-tailed deer and the hunting rights of the land to be covered by the permit. This amendment matches a recent proposed amendment made to Section 147.552B.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? None being heard. Mr. Secretary, would you call the vote, please?
Those in favor of the proposal, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
The next item can be found on page 18 of your agendas. To effectively manage the wildlife resources of this Commonwealth, the Commission, at its January 25th, 2025 meeting, amended Section 141.4 and Appendix G to replace the current hunting hours table and migratory bird hunting hours table to accurately reflect the dates and hours of legal hunting for the 2025-2026 hunting trapping license year. This amendment is now before the Commission for final adoption.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
Any discussion? None being heard. Mr. Secretary, would you call the vote, please?
Those in agreement, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed, no. Mr. President, the ayes have it.
The next item for consideration can be found on page 22 of your agendas. To effectively manage the wildlife resources of this Commonwealth, the Commission, at its January 25th, 2025 meeting, amended Section 143.45 to increase the personal quota of antlerless deer licenses for individuals currently purchasing antlerless deer licenses for Wildlife Management Units 5C and 5D from 6 antlerless licenses to 15 antlerless licenses. This amendment is now before the Commission for final adoption.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
I think I'd like to hear from Commissioner Pride regarding this proposal for some context.
So the context for this, Commissioner Sankey, is we know that we've got a significant overpopulation down in our southeast region in 5C and 5D, and what this increase will provide an opportunity for, particularly for some of our deer management groups, and I think, here in the state, the largest number of deer management groups that are focused on helping landowners, both public and private, to reduce and control the herds for, damage to the landscape, as well as, trying to contribute to roadkill reduction, which is obviously going to be difficult. But this is one step in the direction of providing more opportunities for hunters to harvest more antlerless deer. And, also as, what the allocations are speaking to, as well as just providing opportunities, during the hunting season. I think I made this point yesterday, that, as we get into not just the special regs time, but, the statewide time, our allocations have effectively been maximized or just not available for hunters. So this is one step in the direction of providing more opportunities, for our existing hunters, but also for new hunters.
Any other discussion?
Mr. President, if I may,
Yes.
I'd like to call Matthew Schnoop to the stand. Matthew, do you see any negative impact to the wildlife resource should the commission approve this?
Yeah, thanks for that, Commissioner. So when this is basically going back to some of the way that we had it traditionally speaking, where you guys have heard the alpha hunter, right? The guy that goes out and guy or girl goes out and harvests more than one, which is our statewide average of 0 or 1. So this is almost angling it back in that direction, if you will, of increasing it from that 6 limit to 15, because we did see that alpha hunter actually exist. So certainly it would make sense to put those tags back in their hands in those areas.
And that alpha hunter probably more than likely has access to properties that can be.
I couldn't answer that question. I just know that they did exist, and we did see some of those folks go out, and they were harvesting a lot of deer.
Okay, good answer. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any more discussion? None being heard. Mr. Secretary, would you please call the vote?
Those in favor of the proposal, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Mr. President, the ayes have it.
Thank you.
The next item, excuse me, the next item for consideration can be found on page 25 of your agendas. To effectively manage the wildlife resources of this Commonwealth, the Commission, at its January 25, 2025 meeting, amended sections 143.202 and 143.203 to update and improve the application and license issuance process for the random drawing elk license. This amendment is now before the Commission for final adoption.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? Mr. Secretary, would you call the vote, please?
Those in favor of the proposed motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Mr. President, the ayes have it.
Thank you.
The next item for consideration can be found on page 27 of your agendas. To effectively manage the wildlife resources of this Commonwealth, the Commission, at its January 25, 2025 meeting, amended sections 147.552, 147.553, and 147.556 to improve accessibility to and the effectiveness of the agricultural deer control program. This amendment is now before the Commission for final adoption.
Do we have a motion? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Secretary, would you call the vote, please?
Those in favor of the proposed proposal on the table, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those that are opposed, no. Mr. President, the ayes have it.
Thank you.
The next item for consideration can be found on page 30 of your agendas and comes from the Bureau of Wildlife Habitat Management. And I would just like to add, by way of housekeeping, this first agenda item is currently laid on the table. There will need to be a motion and a second to take it off the table.
We have a motion to take this off the table? So moved. Do I have a second? Mr. Secretary, or any discussion? Mr. Secretary, would you call the vote, please?
Those in favor of the proposal, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Mr. President, the ayes prevail.
Thank you.
The next item for consideration can be found on page 32 of your agendas. Pheasants Forever is offering 71 more or less acres of land in Horton Township, Elk County, an interior to state game land number 44. The option price is $142,600 lump sum, with the game fund obligation limited to $10,718.32. The remaining $131,881.68 is to be paid by the Conservation Fund in accordance with a prior timber for land exchange agreement. The tract is an interior to State Game Land 44, for which the Commission may pay what it considers to be a fair and reasonable price. This acquisition will improve the manageability of the existing state game lands. Subsurface rights were severed and reserved by prior owners, and access is from Drummond Road.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. President, I'd just like to acknowledge Pheasants Forever stepping in to help us with this purchase. Without them, we may have lost this particular acquisition. So I just wanted to acknowledge them and a few of their staff, particularly Kurt Bond, Kent Adams, Julia Smith, John Locks, Eric Sitzma, and one of their volunteers from their North Central chapter, Tim Rowan, were instrumental in us having the opportunity for this acquisition.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion? I would also like to thank Pheasants Forever for stepping up and helping us out with this. Mr. Secretary, would you please call the vote?
Those in favor of the proposal, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Mr. President, the ayes prevail.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes.
just a question on order, and I could have been daydreaming. Did we miss the agricultural deer control permits? Did you read that?
Yeah, you will.
Okay, well then I was. Which I'm fully supportive of, and I voted yes, so.
Okay.
So, yep.
All right.
The next item for consideration is found on page 34 of your agendas. Timothy A. Bernier et al. Are offering 79.3 more or less acres of land in Delmar Township, Tioga County, near State Game Land number 313. The option price is $375,000 lump sum to be paid from the Commission's restricted account, representing settlement funds from environmental damage claims brought by the Commonwealth. This parcel, being mostly wetland and wet meadow, is similar to the muck section of SGL 313 to the northeast, the satellite tract to the west, and a newly acquired DCNR parcel. These parcels form a mosaic of wetlands along the Marsh Creek Valley that will provide a corridor for waterfowl and other wetland species of conservation concern. Access to the property is from State Route 6. The northwest detached parcel is accessible by a DCNR rail trail.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Do we have any discussion?
Maybe for point of clarification, if I may. The small piece to the kind of north or northwest that's severed from the main chunk, so to speak. Is it accurate to think that that is critical because we're talking wildlife and we're talking waterfowl migration and that being stopover points, so connectivity is less of a concern for us, or why do we have that kind of that small chunk in there?
Sure. So the small chunk is just part of the package. That's the package that the landowners have offered to us, and we figured we would take both parcels. Of course, there's the main section that has the wetland, which is the main focus of the acquisition, but it comes as a package, so that's why we're taking both.
So in your opinion, is that other piece a burdensome piece or a valuable piece? I mean, if it's neutral and neither here nor there,
I would
that's
say
fine,
neutral.
too.
I wouldn't say it's a burden.
Okay.
I would say it's a bonus.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Mr. Secretary, would you call the vote, please?
Those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Mr. President, the ayes prevail.
Thank you.
The next item for consideration is found on page 36 of your agendas. The Bergner Family Supplemental Needs Trust is offering 427 more or less acres of land in Higgins, Berry, and Eldred Townships, Schuylkill County, adjacent to State Game Land number 132. The option price is $1,750,000 lump sum to be paid from the Game Fund, as this parcel offers crucial access to the existing SGL 132. This parcel improves property integrity and manageability. Moreover, it has a diverse habitat including boggy areas, grassy meadows, mast-producing trees, and rock outcrops. Access is from Deep Creek Road and Maple Road.
I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. President, I'd just like to mention that the family was interested in approaching us about this property because their father had been a career Habitat crew member of the Game Commission. They wanted to see the property come to the Game Commission. So,
Thank you very much. Any other discussion? None being heard. Mr. Secretary, would you please call the vote?
Those in favor of the proposal, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, no. Mr. President, the ayes prevail.
Okay, thank you.
The next item is found on page 38 of your agendas. Natural Lands Trust, Inc. is offering 7.2 more or less acres of land in Lynn Township, Lehigh County, adjacent to State Game Land number 217. The option price is $400 per acre to be paid from the Game Fund. This parcel lies along the Blue Mountain, a nearly contiguous band of forested habitat, providing an essential travel corridor for many species. More than 1.4 million people live within 30 miles of the property, which aligns the acquisition with the Commission's strategic priorities. Access is from Gun Club Road.
Thank you. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? None being heard. Mr. Secretary, would you take the vote, please?
Those in agreement of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Mr. President, the ayes have it.
Thank you.
I'd just like to mention quick also to acknowledge Natural Lands Trust for being a great partner, getting this down to our contribution down to $400 per acre in this part of the state. That's pretty tough to find. So thanks to them.
Surprising number.
Next item.
The next item is found on page 40 of your agendas. The Houtsdale Municipal Authority is offering 45 more or less acres of land in Rush Township, Center County, adjoining State Game Land number 60, to the Commission in exchange for 45 more or less acres of SGL 60 in Rush Township, Center County. The Commission determined the proposed exchange is in the best interest as it improves the integrity and manageability of the State Game Lands. Access to the parcel is through existing State Game Land 60.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm a little unclear. I mean, on the picture on page 41, that's the 45 acres that we're getting, correct?
So there, you can see there's kind of that pointy, like kind of knife point indenture that's red hashed.
Yes.
So that's the part we would exchange, and then the kind of the lighter tan colored section, that long skinny rectangle, is what we would get in return. So essentially, we're trying to clean up essentially the boundary there, make it easier for both parties to control their lands.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussions? None being heard. Mr. Secretary, would you please call the vote?
Those in favor of the proposed proposal, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Mr. President, the ayes prevail.
Thank you.
The next item for consideration can be found on page 42 of your agendas. The Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources is offering 368 more or less acres of land in Lehigh Township, Carbon County, adjoining state game land number 141, and 5.9 more or less acres of land in Pine Township, Crawford County, adjoining state game land number 214, to the Commission in exchange for 495 more or less acres of SGL 141 in Nesquehoning Township, Carbon County.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question about the exchange here. I mean, we're getting 368 acres and they're getting almost 500 acres. And I don't understand the outline of the 500 acres that they're getting. How did it all come about?
So, Deputy Executive Director Gustafson presented on this matter yesterday. It was kind of the back and forth with DCNR for the Glenanoco Falls project.
Okay,
so,
got it. I'm sorry.
Yep,
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. That's what we're talking about here. And yeah, so we are getting a little bit less land on this first map, but we are getting the control of Ford Island on Game Lands 214 also as part of the package.
Mr. Secretary?
Those in favor of the proposal signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Mr. President, the ayes prevail.
Thank you.
Point of order, Mr. President, if I could really quick. Tim, while you're still here, just in the risk of being redundant, but to make sure we had it correct. On page 30, the first proposal, there was a motion to remove that off the table. Was there also a motion then to confirm that acquisition, or does that need to take place separately? Or are you comfortable, Tim, that that process was followed correctly, or do we need to also confirm that vote, is what I'm asking?
I would ask that we confirm it for sure, just to make sure that we have it on the record. So I do recall a similar hearing a vote to untable, but not sure if it was to accept the acquisition.
Okay.
Okay, so returning the board's attention to page 30 of their agendas, there should be an up or down vote, and as well as supporting motions and seconds to accept the acquisition.
Second. Mr. Secretary, any discussion on it?
Yeah, I'll just say, so this is one that was tabled, of course. We got the additional stakeholder input and are definitely interested in moving forward with this here in the Bureau. I'd also like to mention a couple of things. Fish and Boat Commission is contributing towards the purchase of this property. They approved that during their January commission meeting. And also, Miss Jeanette, the owner of this property, was very interested and almost adamant that she wanted this land to go into the public hands for hunting and fishing purposes.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Mr. Secretary, would you please call the vote?
Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Mr. President, the ayes prevail.
The next and final item on your agendas can be found on page 46. Laurel Mountain Energy, LLC of Pittsburgh, PA, requested the Commission offer its oil and gas rights under portions of State Game Land Number 95 for non-surface use development. The proposed tract, containing approximately 646 more or less net oil gas acres, is located in Washington and Parker Townships, Butler County. LME will access the 646 net acre reserves from its current and planned drilling operations on adjacent areas off SGL 95 by horizontal drilling with no additional surface use or disturbance to the game lands. The Commission negotiated the proposed terms of the agreement with LME to prudently develop its oil-gas reserve and simultaneously protect the wildlife resources and recreational use of State Game Land Number 95. The terms of the agreement include a 5-year, paid-up, non-surface use oil and gas agreement, a $1,250 per net oil and gas acre bonus payment, and a 14% royalty for the first 36 months, which escalates to a 15% royalty thereafter for all oil, gas, and other liquids or condensates produced and sold from the proposed tract. The total bonus payment of $807,500 will be made in 5 annual installments of $161,500. The first bonus payment of $161,500 will be due within 60 days of execution of the agreement. The remainder of bonus payments will be due annually on the anniversary date of the agreement. All bonus, rental, and future royalty payments will be deposited into the game fund. Oil and gas development will be regulated by the Commission's oil and gas regulations and the Commission's non-surface use oil and gas cooperative agreement.
Thank you. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
Mr. President, if I may, is it my imagination or is it relatively low lease payment and royalties compared to some of the deals we've made in the past?
It is lower compared to some in the past. I'll mention that this is in Butler County, not kind of the core, the sweet spots of the Marcellus.
It's not in the middle of the fairway.
It's not in the middle of the fairway. So, we also have this particular operator is operating just to the east of us on Game Lands 95 on a portion. There's a lease there that we have inherited that has much worse terms than what we've negotiated here. So, but yeah, so you are correct. It is lower than some of our other spots, but we believe it's fair for the area.
Okay, good answer. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Mr. Secretary, would you call a vote, please?
Those in favor of the proposal, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Mr. President, the ayes prevail.
All right, thank you. That concludes our agenda, but do we have any new business?
Mr. President, if I may, a couple topics to cover under new business yet this morning. And the first, is a thank you to my fellow commissioners for the support in moving forward with extending some DMAP seasons. And, with that, the caveat being that wildlife management is a constant evolving process of science, social science, and various stakeholders. So I want to be very, very clear, Executive Director Smith, that I would encourage staff to scrutinize what we did here today and come back to the board with recommendations on, did this work, did this not work, and ultimately what we can do to utilize DMAP as the tool that it was intended to be used for originally, which is for landowners to be able to manage deer herds on their particular parcels, but not have that acreage enrolled indefinitely. We have multiple areas that have been enrolled in our DMAP program for over a decade now, and ultimately what I would like to see is DMAP being used as a tool for those landowners to achieve their goals, and then those landowners then would phase out of the DMAP program and be able to utilize regular management unit allocations to maintain those goals. So again, like this is not a line in the sand. This is a first step in a bigger discussion, and looking forward to seeing where that takes us in the future.
Thank you. Any other new business?
Mr. President, I just want to make a couple of comments here at the end of the meeting, not necessarily new business. One, I want to thank the staff for all the work that they've done, coming into this meeting. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of work that the staff does, obviously on a day-to-day basis, but, for those that are listening online and, will read the comments from this, is I encourage everyone to take advantage of the public session that we have on Friday You know, the information that we get from the staff and those updates, you know, is a tremendous learning opportunity for us, but I think, you know, just broadly for the public, and, you know, just recognizes and elevates what the staff does. But lastly, you know, one of the speakers during the public comments made a reference to the salaries of our staff, and I think specifically our game wardens. And I think many people know that, and I think a lot don't know that as commissioners, we only have one employee that we're responsible for, which is, Steve, is your role. You know, so we don't, you know, we interact a lot with the staff and we learn a lot from the staff, but our game wardens are in critical need of more financial support. And, you know, I know you all hear me talk about this ad nauseum. Again, it's not in our responsibility as commissioners, but Steve, I want to thank you for the work that you're doing with the staff and others. But, you know, we had in the fall, I think in October, Representative Dave Deloso down in Delaware County proposed a bill to bring our game warden compensation at the level of our state troopers. And I think Representative Ed Nielsen did the same. Ed Nielsen from Philadelphia for our law enforcement officers for fish and boat. But it is critically important that we elevate our game wardens compensation, because, you know, not just in my area in Philadelphia, I mean, our game wardens, you know, can't afford to live and pay for their, you know, home expenses by themselves for what they make. So we just want to continue to do more to bring them to where they, you know, need to be. So I just wanted to make that comment and thank them for their work. I mean, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the work of our game wardens and the work that I do professionally. So I just, you know, continue to want to emphasize the importance of the work that they do and getting their compensation to where they need to be.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pride.
One final comment from me, and this one isn't necessarily for me. This is on behalf of Commissioner Bob Schwalm, and as we stated earlier, he's unable to be with us because he's doting over his brand new granddaughter right now. So I'm honored on his behalf to deliver this statement from him. Those of you who know me understand how important it is to me that we do everything we can to get young people involved in hunting. The Mentored Hunting Program has been a tremendous tool for introducing youth to the sport at an early age. When the program was first created, mentored hunters, regardless of age, were eligible to receive their own harvest tags. That rule has since changed, and currently, mentored hunter under the age of 7 cannot hold their own tags. Instead, a tag must be transferred from an adult if the mentored youth harvests a big game animal. I believe that restriction is unnecessary and penalizes the adults who are taking young hunters afield, and I would like to see us return to the original structure of the program and allow mentored hunters of all ages to hold their own tags. That's why I'm asking staff to review this matter for any biological or law enforcement implications. I also encourage members of the public to share their perspectives. This is an issue I feel strongly about, but it's just as important to me that we take the time to get it right. I also look forward to hearing from staff and stakeholders on this issue. Again, that's from Commissioner Bob Schwalm.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. Do we just have staff look into this and come back with their recommendation on this, and we will vote on it next month, or next meeting, I should say. All right? Anything else on the new business?
Mr. President?
Yes.
In regard to Commissioner Schwalm's request, I guess maybe this is a question for Steve. What parts of our staff will be looking into that? Would it be law enforcement and the Bureau of Wildlife Management?
Those are the two bureaus that come to mind for me initially.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
could we be kept abreast of that as they appraise their way through that?
Yes.
And Commissioner Pride, I appreciate your remarks a lot. Hello, Commissioner Pride. I appreciate your comments very much in total agreement, you know, but as everybody's aware, it's something that's out of our control and with the Office of OA. But I would like to make a tongue-in-cheek remark, and you used the word game warden quite a lot, and I'm going to take it to my grave. I have a problem with game warden. To me, they're wildlife conservation officers and always will be. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fredericks. Anything else?
Yeah, I have one comment, Mr. President. At the risk of looking like I'm patting myself on the back, I would really like to compliment the board for taking seriously the concerns that we have heard throughout the state from our farmers. And I think when you look at your own livelihood and see the damage that can be caused and worry about how you're going to feed your family and so forth, it's a whole new perspective than it is driving down the road and looking to, oh, look at those nice deer over there. So, you know, I know there's currently a song out there that says, when I say Bambi, you know, or I see Bambi, you see antlers on the wall. It's certainly is a perspective, but I really do appreciate, and I know that the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau appreciates the cooperation that has been given and the willingness to listen and to talk and to see some changes actually being made. Hopefully, that will be very beneficial to our farmers in our Commonwealth.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, I'd like to add to that. I want to make sure the public understands clearly what an effort went into that and how much we truly do appreciate the cooperation of the Farm Bureau. I've been around a long time, and I've never seen that relationship be what it is today. We all have thoroughly appreciated and enjoyed the relationship with the Farm Bureau and what we've been able to get to, but it's hard for everybody to understand what kind of effort that took. And at this point, I'd like to really throw some acknowledgement at our new executive director, Steve Smith. I mean, behind the scenes, you know, Steve traveled all over the state, and Lord only knows how many Farm Bureau meetings he attended. And I know that I personally was there to witness his performance a couple times. And he stood right up front and articulated our position very, very well. And the fact that we care and manage wildlife scientifically, he was totally sympathetic to their plight and promised to do everything we can within the boundaries of science to help. And tip of my hat to Steve Smith. He spent a lot of nights and days away from his family over the last several months to get that done. Thank you very much, Steve. And y'all need to know that there was also effort made on behalf of the commissioners, and that Commissioner Forador and I believe Commissioner Schwam made it their business to find a way to get onto the Wildlife Management Committee of the Farm Bureau. So our thanks go out to Commissioner Forador, Commissioner Schwam, thank you, and Steve, thank you for all your work. It's pretty monumental, you know, what we're about to do here.
Yeah. Hey, Commissioner Fredericks, I'm sorry to prolong this, but participating in the Wildlife Committee of the Farm Bureau, Alan, I couldn't agree with you more as far as the education you get. But most of the farming community are hunters too. So they do care about the resource. They want it scientifically managed. Obviously, they make their livelihoods and need some help. But I want to really say that they are very supportive of what we do here at the Game Commission in general. So
yeah, thank you, Scott. And you know, we reminded the farmers, and believe me, these meetings that we had with the Farm Bureau were very, very emotional at times. I mean, it's their livelihood. They're trying to make a living, feed their families, you know, off the land. And we made it clear, and they made it clear that they understood that our agency is responsible for 480 species of wildlife. Everybody in this building and everybody out in the field in every region works toward that end to be responsible for 480 species of wildlife, of which only 30 are hunted. And again, a tip of the hat to the farming community, the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau. They made it perfectly clear that they understand that a lot of those 480 species of wildlife occupy their land. So we expressed our appreciation to them, and they expressed their appreciation to us for working cooperatively. So thank you again, Steve, and everybody involved in that effort. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Fredericks. Any other new business? At this time, I would like to thank all the commissioners. I mean, I think this was a great meeting, a lot of discussion that went on. I know some of these decisions aren't easy, and we don't always agree on everything, but, you know, discussion is good, and I've said this to everybody, nobody take it personally, you know? I always said, you know what, everybody likes ice cream. Some people like vanilla, some people like chocolate. That doesn't mean ice cream's no good, you know? So, but thank you so much for everybody being here today. Our next meeting will be July 11th and 12th, and the following meeting after that will be September 12th and 13th. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.